They were making disciples. They were out there making Jesus known, because that's the point of verse 47 where it says, praising God in front of others and having favor with all the people, meaning they had the respect of everyone in the surrounding community. It says that God was adding to their number day by day those who were being saved. And so here you see a picture, a window into what the church looks like as a family living for the glory of God and the renewal of all things. And so the question we're going to spend a few minutes wrestling with is, what gets in the way of that? What muddies up the picture so that this reality does not become the tangible experience of the church and the family of God? Okay? Here's the answer. It's very simple. You. You and me. We're the ones that get in the way of this. We're the ones that get in the way of this. So what I want to do is I want to dissect three ways that we, through our view and our interaction with the church, muddy up and muck up the reality of the church living as a family for the glory of God and the renewal of all things. So the first one is this. The first kind of destructive way that we can view the church or relate to the church is church as Savior. Church as Savior. This is where we expect the church to be perfect and without fault. Perfect and without fault. Perfect and without fault. And the assumption here is that, well, they're Christians, and therefore I'm going to go to this church, and these people are going to be great, and they're going to be loving, and they're going to be accepting, and they're never going to hurt me, and they're never going to do me wrong. I'm never going to be let down. It's going to be an awesome experience. Right? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Have you read the Bible? I mean, if you just read through 1 Corinthians, like seriously, the church in Corinth, they were jacked up. They were messed up. Like he writes to them, he says, hey, listen, there's division, there's strife. You guys are acting all crazy. And I hear there's some guy that's sleeping with his dad's wife. He's like, it shouldn't be happening, right? If you read the Bible, reality is the reason we have most of the New Testament that was written to the churches is because the churches are always dealing with issues because they're made of what? People. You and me. And so if we're approaching the church thinking, hey, the church is my Savior, you're going to be sorely let down. Sorely let down. And here's the real danger in this view, is that what you do is you place an expectation on the church that is both destructive and hypocritical. And what I mean by that is this, is when the church finally does disappoint you, when the church or someone in the church finally does let you down or hurt you, then you take a position of judgment on them and on the church that assumes you're actually perfect and that you don't have the same struggles and flaws that the people of the church do. Does that make sense? The church is not your Savior. The church is meant to point you to the one who saves, which is Jesus, who is the only one who is perfect. So the first view that is destructive and ruins this experience of church as family is this idea that the church is here to save me. And so here's a quick question for you to maybe self-diagnose a little bit. Okay? Ask yourself this. Am I harboring bitterness, anger, or resentment towards the church because it hurt me or let me down? Am I harboring anger, resentment, or bitterness towards the church because it hurt me or let me down? Because if you are, then God would compel you to forgive. Because the church is not your Savior, and we are not perfect. Second view. Church as status. So the first one is church as Savior. The second one is church as status. And this is where we use the church, or we use ministry for personal recognition or gain. This happens in ways, some that are very obvious and some that are not so obvious. So some obvious ways. There was a friend of mine who helped plant a church or start a church or took over a church in some other state, I can't remember, but he said that when he got to that place, he was asking around the community, he was trying to find the building, the church building. And when he had a conversation with somebody, he said, yeah, it's this church. And they said, oh, you mean the Amway church? And he's like, the what? He said, the Amway church.